All right, what's good, everybody? This is your boy Gen X on a special edition of the Gen X Show. Thank you for coming back and hanging with a brother. First and foremost, as you can see, we are in for a treat today. So, if you haven't been to any of my cons, shame on you. But if you can make it to the YouTube channel, this is real easy. This is your only thing, that homework that I'm pushing towards you. Make sure you follow me on YouTube. Make sure you're probably watching this already. Your friends probably forward this to you. Make sure you subscribe so that way you are pinged when you're ready to go. But I don't want to waste any time on this because I definitely want to make sure that we give my brother Jack Harris all the love and the praise. He's doing some big things and he's got some great things happening right now. So the best way for you to participate and contribute to this amazing book, to keep it going, to make sure that this issue is always actually, he's got a couple of things popping off. I was just impressed. But let me give you some quick shout outs. Jack, I wanted to say welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming through, my brother. So we connected. I just realized this. I've known you for about 2 years, bro.
Right, right.
It's been a long time. That was like the quickest 2 years of our lives. You've done a lot since then. You've been on my con. You've been on the Back to Basics podcast. How's everything going so far, man?
Man, everything's good, man. I appreciate you having me today. And no, everything's been real good. Just pushing through on the book, making progress on Terminus Veil. Obviously, we got the Kickstarter going now, so things have been going well, man. I can't complain.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the Kickstarter because I want to make sure we forward people to that. We are almost close to the threshold, the actual the goal, and
Yeah,
we want to make sure we surpass that goal, just like last time. And so you definitely had a record hitting last Kickstarter, so I was excited for you for that. But for those who don't know what Terminus Veil is, would you give us a little snapshot of Terminus
yeah,
Veil,
yeah.
Clash Publishing, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so Terminus Veil is an action mystery comic book. It's basically about a private security team, Guardians International, that gets attacked while they're transporting a new invention. Guys come down in helicopters, just start spraying at them. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And as you kind of go through the story issue by issue, you start to figure out it's a bigger conspiracy going on that they're caught in. And we've been making the book for about 3 years now, as far as Clash is concerned, and it's kind of the publishing company we have now. We've been, essentially it's run by me. It's self-published, and we're just going to cons, selling online, Kickstarters, getting to comic book stores when we can, and really trying to learn the business and as well as bring a lot of delight to people who love indie comics. So it's our goal.
Yeah, and I think Clash was also founded on three key principles, which is high
Yeah, yeah,
quality artwork, diverse
yeah.
characters from different backgrounds, and explosive, thrilling action, which you definitely deliver. Because I think the last time I talked to you, I was like, "Whoa, this is definitely not for kids." First of
No,
all,
not for
okay,
kids.
not for kids, but it is for folks who are interested. There's a nostalgia about it. It reminds me a little bit of like a souped up, amped up GI Joe type of situation with the espionage
Mhm.
and some Mission Impossible thrown in together. So, what were the
Yeah.
influences? Can you tell us how exactly you got to this point where you're literally building your empire and creating Terminus Veil in the world?
Man, there's so many influences. When we talk about comics, or when I think about comics, it's always, going back to what Wildstorm was with Image when it was, Jim Lee was, back in the early 90s. Like all of that stuff is super, what like I would say Grifter, my favorite character. And I think you can kind of see that across kind of what I do in Terminus Veil. And so like that's the biggest, I would say, comic book influence. Obviously, I love a lot of Marvel stuff. Big fan of like Ed Brubaker's runs on like Captain America and Daredevil and that style of book. I'm very much a person who loves the characters who don't really have powers, but they have to figure out how to do something that's kind of greater than them. Um, and so that's a big influence. I think as far as from the business standpoint, I take a lot of um, my influence from kind of the homegrown rap companies that came up in kind of the mid 90s and the 2000s. Um, You think about like small companies like Swisher House that end up becoming really big, or No Limit, or all those kind of underground labels that then really got big. It was that's something close to my heart, and so I just kind of try to have that same approach where very much grassroots, very much meeting people, selling them at stores wherever we really can. If somebody will let me set up at a flea market, I set up there. Not above that. And so that's really what I try to bring from the business standpoint. Yeah, man, I would say those are kind of what I really gain for as far as influence.
Now, you mentioned a lot of those influences, especially the musical pieces. Yeah, and so are you the master P of comic books? Is that what you're saying?
I would love for one day. I can't take that title quite yet. I think I got at least another 5 years of putting in work before I can get closer to something like that. But
Yeah,
nah, man, I would love to be considered the master P of comic books, or the Gucci Mane of comic books.
yeah,
Like that would be a true honor to me, and I would wear that title
yeah.
fully. Um,
Back to Terminus Veil. You want to jump a little bit into some of the characters, specifically like Bird and some of the other ones that are kind of at the
yeah,
forefront. I feel like the whole team is at the forefront. They all have different layers to them. So,
yeah. I mean, it starts to me with Dash, just because he's kind of the character that as the book will go on, you'll see him always kind of be a part of the narrative. Um, and he's got the rookie of the team. He's just joined. A lot of people questioning why he's even should be a part of it. And we get to see that in volume one, kind of how he kind of starts, and it's very green, very not very strong at all, and then as it goes further and further in the book, we get to see him have his kind of highlight moments um, by the end of the volume one, and so uh, very much critical to the story. Bird, one of the funner characters for me because she's very much not shy about who she is and what she believes, and
yeah.
very strong in the field as far as she's a former Marine Corps sniper, so she's very, very good at what she does as far as for the team, and we get to see that in issue one a lot. We got a couple of other characters that are pretty big. Badia, who gets her first shot in issue two, and now she's got her one shot that we're doing a book around. And Badia is very much a person who's connected to a lot of the people on the team, very much bringing them together. She does have a bit of a gambling habit, which is always fun to see and mess with. We got Connor, and he's a more of the jokester of the team. He was used to be a police officer, and he's got a really good knack for seeing things or catching things when they're out of place. So, noticing something. Um, but he's just a jackass, man, and he loves to make fun of people, loves to have that fun, and it's. I always say he's the character I'm writing. When I write him, I'm writing. This is the 13-year-old me who used to have to Joan on the bus, yeah, and going to school and all that. He's just that version of me. I just get to let it all out with him. And we got Chuan, who's the leader of the Guardians. He's the one with the mask. Everyone loves the gold chain when they see it.
Yeah.
It's one of the funner characters. Definitely the most, I would say, adept in fighting and hand-to-hand fighting. He's a Wing Chun practitioner. He's really good. We get to see a lot of him uh, in issue four, and then in issue five, we get to see some of him as well. And very mysterious
Mhm.
and very much tied into this whole conspiracy that is Terminus Veil. We got Sue and Yito, and basically Sue is Yito's niece. Yito's the second in command. He's very much uptight, um, very strict about what they should be doing, very concerned about why they even got attacked. And so very critical to the book. Sue is more of an engineer. She works with drones. She's also pretty new, so her and Dash kind of connect because they're both younger and both kind of the rookies on the team. So you see a lot of them together.
Yep.
And man, I'm trying to think, I have so many characters, man. I
You
got
got a ton of characters.
we got some new characters we're introducing as well. I
Yeah.
won't go into. I feel like I gave a good bit, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you definitely
I don't want to
did.
be like character. We got so many. But I will say Dr. Clarence, who's a huge character. He is the antagonist of the book. He is a chief, basically the chief of the engineering department of a major multi-billion-dollar corporation. They basically have business and the private sector as far as military defense, medical devices, all
Mhm.
types of, and they're kind of at the cutting edge of technology. And we get to see that Dr. Clarence is not always playing it by the book, very much finding any way to get a gain he can. And so he's definitely, again, him and Chuan kind of really the polarizing forces in um, Terminus Veil.
Yeah, and they're formidable foes for sure. I guess it depends on how you look at it. I think that's also the juxtaposition there. What I love about the book, especially as you look at each issue, is that um, the consistency there. The sequential art is amazing. I know that a lot of folks don't take a lot of time to actually think about sequential art. I know you have your panel design and even down to like the artistry and the folks who are contributing to this. Props to them because they're able to get what you have written down on paper and actually make it into a movie on paper. Like it's really amazing. Quick, fast. The dialogue is great. It doesn't give you a whole bunch of fluff. It's literally giving you some context and then wanting more because now you have to really dive deep, uh, get that Kickstarter, and making sure that we get more issues published. But you also provide like a great value for it too. That's the other thing I like to thank you because a lot of folks, you get like 7, 8 pages, and I'm being facetious, and then they charge you like 20, 25 bucks. But for you, you've been really diligent on making sure that this gets out. So talk to me about the one shot because when I heard that that was coming out as well with Badia, I was like, yes, Lord have mercy. So tell me a little about that and what you
Yeah.
plan on doing with that because that is going to be off the chain. And I
Yes.
want to tell you,
Okay.
I had to. I was like, I've been telling everybody, make sure that you go to the Kickstarter because these covers are badass and they're really amazing. So talk a little about the kill shills in Terminus Veil. That cover is off the chain, and then also Body is Gambit.
Yeah, I'll start with Badia's Gambit, and we, uh, they, what I knew I wanted to have kind of a book running parallel. About like a year and a half ago, I was sitting there, and I was like, man, I want to have a book that runs a little bit parallel while we're in production with issue 5 and issue 6. Um, and Badia has been one of the characters that a lot of people have been, liking it. Just I'm sitting at cons and talking to people, and they're gravitating towards the cover with her on it and asking questions. And so I was like, well, it'd be cool to just give her a one shot and give her, one, a lot more. It's driven around her, and it's not kind of what Terminus Veil is, where it's a ton of characters and there's a lot of moving parts. And then two, give some context to what's going on before. So it takes place 2 years before issue 1, and so she's still with the Guardians, and the Guardians are in Badia's Gambit, Body's Gambit. Um, but uh, this one we get to see them fight something that's a little bit different, and they're in New Orleans doing a bodyguard job, and they had to fight some cyborgs. And it's kind of our first real scene of somebody that's not quite people that are regular humans. You find out. I don't want to give too much of it away, but some of the players that appeared in the first volume of Terminus Veil come back, and you get to see just why this, the whole deal around Terminus Veil is there's been these, major thefts of IP you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Guardians are kind of this coveted team because they're the only team that's survived. Everyone else, if someone's essentially robbing them, they've died through the course of it, and so there's not a lot of people to tell like what happened. And so we get to see some of that again in Badia's Gambit, and yeah, it's a fun ride. So in New Orleans, so for everybody who likes that style of being on you know, the whole French Quarters, drinking, walking around, you can see a little bit of that. So it's some fun there. For Kill Shield, so for issue 5, uh, the Guardians get sent to go to Memphis. Um, and in Memphis, there is a serial killer, basically that goes by the name Kill Shields. What the media is starting to dub him, or the people in the area started to dub him that. And he's killed, uh, you know, killed senators, police officers.
Good Lord.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a real deal serial killer. And the thing about him that's different is he's got a suit that basically makes him invisible. So it's very difficult. The police cannot catch him. They can't deal with him because his suit gives him invisibility and invisibility, and it also gives him a bit of strength increase as well. And so they haven't been able to deal with him, and the Guardians get called in by the FBI to see if they can apprehend him. And so
That's
we get
cool, man. That's
yeah, we get to
so
find out
cool.
a little more too about the story there.
No, seriously, I actually love the way that you have kind of like this trajectory for the books, and then you have like a pivot. And I think this is a great opportunity to actually dive deep into, these offshoot stories that really pertain to and connect to the main story, but also provides more context. So, and also, I'm sure you get to introduce some new dope people that you want to
Yeah, yeah,
that's in
man.
that's in your brain. So I'm looking forward to Body of Gambit as well. That's one of the ones that when I first saw your launch, I said, "Oh, wait a minute." I remember Badia, and that the question I had for you was why Badia of all the characters, and you kind of alluded to the fact that people would really vibe with Badia. So, what is it about Badia that makes her special to have a one shot?
Oh man, I think that you know, the toughness people. Some of the people have read issue 2 have talked about her kind of toughness in it, and what she had to do as far as her and Nito kind of going back and forth. Um, I generally think just the design of the character has attracted a lot of people. Like I said, the issue. It's so many times where I'm at the con and I'm like, yeah, somebody's like, I want that one. I'm well, that's like issue 2. Do you want issue 1 first? And they're like, no, can I just get that one somehow? I'm like, yes, I'm not gonna not send it to you. But
Sure, take my
sure,
money.
right. So, so I just generally think the design of the character is interesting, as well as when people get a chance to read her, they're just a fan.
Cool, cool. So before, because I have a ton of questions, to be
Yeah,
quite honest. Like one of the biggest things is, let's talk about the Kickstarter because I want to make sure I just asked you. I was like, have you met the goal? You are so close. So,
yeah, we're
um,
about $800 away.
yeah, and so I want to make sure folks know about the Kickstarter. I'm going to share also where you are on the Kickstarter. Make sure people know. So I'm going to show it on the screen real quick. Um, we are at 5,206 as of Saturday, November 30th at 11:32.
Yeah.
We got 17 days to go and 146 backers. I know you are so hyped about that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. We're grinding on it. It's been it's a Kickstarter is always something that has you nervous the whole time, right? Like you're
yeah,
so just wanting to see like what's gonna happen, and every day I'm like refreshing constantly, like where are we at, where are we at? But yeah, we've been doing pretty good. We got a few really good rewards. This one, I think depending on what your style of reading, we tried to match match a lot of different styles. If you like the more of a digital way of reading and reading on your tablet, we've got a few different rewards. One, our going digital is just issue 5, issue 6, and Badia's Gambit. Um, we have our digital catch up, which is basically issue 5, issue 6, Badia's Gambit, and our volume 1, and that's all digital as well. Um, so if you like digital rewards, I think that's a nice fit there for you if you really are again somebody who reads on your tablet or your phone or something like that. And then we get into some of the more physical stuff, right? Obviously, we got our just our regular we're back a reward we back, which is again issue 5, issue 6, and Badia's Gambit. And we also we give you the physicals, and those books are bagged and board, and we give you the digital copies of them as well. So if you're a person who's just like, hey, I want to leave them in the bag and board, I don't want to take them out, but I want to read, you got all that option, and that is pretty much every time we give you a physical reward, we'll give you the digital version with it, across
Especially
all of
somebody
our
like
rewards.
me. I'm gonna be honest with you, Jack. The ones that I own, the issues that I own physically, I've read them like very carefully and quickly because I put them right back in there. I'm like, oh, let me put them
Mm,
back. Like today, I was like, thank God that I have the one shot, the volume one book here because I was like, all right, I can be a little rougher with this one.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the other ones, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate folks even providing that reward for folks to actually catch up because it's always for folks to dive into a book that's already in 3, 4, 5
Right.
issues in that's a little intimidating as with any other collector. So yeah, but keep on going. Tell us more about some of the backings that you think people might like, people that might be
Yeah,
people
man.
that.
We've seen a lot of people go with the We Back. We've seen a lot of people go with going digital. A couple people on the Body as a Gambit one, which is just Body as Gambit by itself with the digital version of it. Um, we've also had a few that we're trying to see a little more for the retailers, which are a lot of times you'll have some retailers who just want like 5 of a book. They don't really care about digitals, but they care very much about physical. So we have a one for Body as Gambit, and then we also have one that is the retailer's catch up, which basically has our volume ones, our issue 5, 6, Body's Gambit. You get 3 copies of each. So kind
Wow.
of something nice you can put up there if you're a retailer that you want to just, hey, um, I, if you like the book and you want to have everything there, you got a way for readers at your store to just catch up on it all. We've got Badia's bundle. We did a few fun things with the merch. This one we actually did a sweatshirt with Badia that came out really well.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's kind of get Badia's Gambit. We got a couple of we got a variant cover for it that we also have in that bundle. We've got a print, and we've got the Marcus Williams variant cover volume one, which has been really popular, especially
Cool.
in Atlanta where Marcus Williams is at. He's a really, really big artist out here. He ends up, I believe he does all the artwork for like MomoCon's promotional stuff. He's done Popeye, book run of Popeye. Done a lot of stuff, man. If you,
That's huge. Yeah.
yeah. So, um,
That's
what
awesome.
else do we got? We got a bigger retailer package, which is just the volume ones, just for people who want to catch up because the volume ones are really, really nice. We had a couple people
Yeah.
take advantage of that last time, and it's really nice. And then we got some more crazier rewards that love to see somebody take a shot
The
at.
super
We got
backer.
super backers, which is basically just all the things we produced new this Kickstarter, all the variant covers. We got some blank covers as well
Yeah.
for all the books for people who like to get them drawn on at cons and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Um, so we have that. We've got a one-on-one with me because a lot of times I'm talking to people on Instagram and they're asking me stuff about, how do you produce this book? How did you
Yeah.
market it? What are you doing with this? And I felt like, well, I mean, we'd give you a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
really talking to me is nice, but you get all the books, and if you really wanted to just have an hour or two to pick at my brain, you'd have it. And so
Jack, that's a hell of a deal, actually. I mean, for some folks who are interested in jumping into this, this is a great option. And you get the books too. That's insane. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. They get to pick your brain for, you get 2 1 hour Zoom calls. Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, thank you. That I mean that's a gift unto itself. I appreciate you sewing back into folks who are interested in doing what you're doing, and hopefully getting them off the ground. That's cool.
So then we got our some of the bigger rewards here. The last couple are we got a CGC
Ooh,
9.8 graded Terminus Veil Volume One, Issue One, excuse me. I worked with a guy at Critical Mass Comics, Don Baker. He reached out to me this summer. I was like, "Hey man, like, what have you been doing as far as grading, getting your books graded?" And I was like, "Nothing." So really not a, it's not a process that I was totally familiar with. I knew about people, having books and slabs. I never really had tried it or had went down that lane. And he started telling me more and more. And he was like, "Well, hey man, I'll meet you at Heroes Con. Bring a bunch of your issue ones." And he's like, "I guarantee you, I can find a 9.8 in your stack probably." And I was like, "All right." And so he sat down at my table when I was at Heroes Con on Saturday and just went through about 30, 40 different
wow.
Terminus Veil issue ones. And he was like, took about five of them. He was like, "Give me these five." And yeah, about a month ago, he sent me a fully slabbed 9.8.
That's
And
awesome.
so yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty dope time. So yeah, so that's what this is. Obviously, you get all the other books. You get a jacket, you get our print,
Yeah.
shot glasses and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the real big one. There's only one of them. You know what
Now,
I mean? So you
let
would
me
have
say,
it.
I was like, I can't afford it, but I was looking at the next one, which is your face on issue number 7. What is happening
Yeah,
here, sir?
yeah, yeah.
I,
So you get
immortalized
a
forever.
yeah, you'll get a character basically in issue 7. You'll be a police officer in issue 7. Your face will be on that police officer. You get some lines. Like it won't just be like, "Oh, we took one picture of you," and you'll get some lines. You'll probably be on about 3 or 4 pages. I don't know the exact amount of pages, but you'll probably be around about 3 or 4 pages. Um, so yeah, you'll be immortalized, and you get all the other the books as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
think you might need a hero that's Puerto Rican that is a comic book personality, but also lethal in your next book. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But and then the last one, you have a commission from Frank Alpizar
Yeah,
to
so Frank
display.
Alpizar is the artist on Badia's Gambit. He's also does our layouts for Terminus Veil issue
Cool.
4, 5, and 6, as well as the colors. So it's really dope. Obviously, if you see the Badia's Gambit cover as well as the print, he did all of that. He's got a few. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see he's got a few
Yeah.
different commissions and character designs he's done. Really dope artist, really great guy. He was the um, really the art director, I would say, as far as how the trailer and the video. Like he's an animator as well,
Mm,
so he directed that and set up the whole like the process of us getting it from start to finish. He was in control of it, and so no, really dope artist. So yeah, I
so
would say that's one of those. If you can get it, if you really like it, really
yeah,
like his art style,
it's pretty
it's
dope.
definitely a way to get in, and you get books.
And you
So
get
yeah,
books. You get books. So I noticed that we talked a little bit about the animation piece. So this is like a double thing, right? So it's a great promo, but are you headed in that direction at some point?
oh man, I don't know. It's very expensive,
It
so it
is.
had to be a different different than what I do today in my office. We had to find a couple other people to be involved, but
Master P?
yeah, maybe, yeah, please, right? But yeah, no, it's something that Frank hit me up with this summer because I was telling him like, hey, we're gonna have a Kickstarter and um, starting to get everything, trying to get everything ready for it. He was like, man, I think it'd be just great if we could have a animated trailer.
Mm,
showcasing, different characters from both the books. And I was like, you don't have to tell me twice, man. Like, what does it take? Oh, and so from there we kind of ran with the idea, and you know, it went really good. It's so much different than comic book production because we also had to bring in another animator who kind of really did the frame by frame, but all the you know Frank and Delio, they pretty much handled all of um, the setup, all the pre-production,
mhm,
and so could I see myself doing it or trying to go that route? Maybe. Yeah, I
mhm.
think I think it's something I wouldn't mind, but I'm trying to get games in first, so I
Yeah,
think it'll be a while before I go down that road. But I would really enjoy it. It's such a
that's
like
a
it's a
arduous.
clear investment. Yeah, it's clear though. You know clearly what you want to do.
Yeah,
It's just a lot of money.
yeah. And
But yeah,
the work, man, to put
oh
into
no, the
it
work
frame
is a
by
lot.
frame. I mean, I
The
give
work is a
props to
lot.
all those cats that have that patience. I know that would not be a thing for me. I needed I need to move quicker, but there's so much that especially within the technology, you have to make sure, and also the taste, right? Like some people like anime style, and some people want the traditional American style, and so on and so. There's so many styles, and so to get it right, especially for Terminus Veil, I think the promo really did. I actually thought you were putting out a cartoon or
Yeah.
animation of some
I
sort.
know, yeah, that's kind of the almost the it's just like it was great. It's a great promotional tool, but
Yeah.
it does almost make people feel like so many people ask me, so like this is a show? I'm like, no, it's just a comic book. But so yeah, there is that piece of it, but it was just one of those. I'm happy we did it, like, and,
Yeah.
and it came out great. Like I said, I'm always learning. We're always learning from a business standpoint. What can you do versus what should you do?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm happy with it. But yeah, it does make you feel sometimes when I'm talking to people, they're like, "Yeah, this is a show, right?" I'm like, "Not yet.
Not
Maybe
yet.
one day."
Not yet. Yeah.
So,
I wanted to also talk to you and to give you also the platform to talk about this because I think that something that you do specifically, one of the tenets of Clash Publishing is obviously the diversity of characters and so on and so forth. I also have noticed in your posts and also in our world. I mean, you and I have met a couple of times. We actually met at Heroes Con in North
yeah,
Carolina, and so how the con industry is really becoming more diversified. The indie market is becoming larger and much more complex and diverse in many ways. And I saw that you have Giancarlo also doing a cover as well, which I was
yeah.
excited
He's got an
about.
issue 6 cover. Yeah, the issues.
Yeah,
No, excuse me, the issue 5 variant cover.
yeah. And again, just to talk about how big and small the community is when it comes specifically around, folks of color, people of color, and just like that that resurgence or that influx of folks really coming together to make sure that our dreams come true and they show up in droves. I think I've seen you at cons with folks who are just really they're looking for something different. And when you show them your product, they're just like, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and to go behind and make sure that it is a quality product. So, can you talk about where the community is, and specifically like why you do why you're into making sure that not only is your characters diverse, but also why it's important, especially in the industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, from my I guess starting at the story and the characters and the narrative. Um, it so many times I wanted to see something that just wasn't an option for me when I was growing up and into comic books. So there's that piece of it, right? Where it's just like, you get to see characters. There, we have a set of characters that everybody knows. We can go and talk about Black Panther. We can talk about Storm. We can talk about. So I'm not going to act like there's no character.
Right.
Um, but it just doesn't feel like, from some of the stories or the narratives. Like I love Black Panther as a character. There is nothing I relate to with Black Panther, bro. It's just a fantastical. king, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that over this technology, right? Like there's no relatability there. But I love him. I love the character, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt like there's a sense of, if I would say, stuff that was more relatable growing up would be stuff around Milestone, right? And what
Mhm.
they did on that side. But again, that was a very small, part of DC that didn't always get the promotion it really needed to be where it could have been. And so, for me, it's just, can we, can we have something that is not so much where it's got to be this way or it's got to be that way, but it explores diversity. It explores different characters from all types of different and it doesn't try to get into the it doesn't it doesn't stereotype to stereotype or to
That's
have
right.
something. It is more of a, like, hey, sometimes there are going to be things that are like, yeah, this is how it is if you live in metro city of Atlanta or like Baltimore,
Yeah.
right? That you get to, that you don't always get to see in Marvel or DC or some of the bigger books, bigger companies. So for me, story wise, that's what I'm trying to do. From a business standpoint, I think it's really about chasing excellence any way you can. And I
Mm.
think if you look at it from the standpoint of, hey, everybody's got to be this type of person, then you're limiting yourself in excellence,
Yeah.
right? Um, you know, dealing on Frank, both from they're both originally from Cuba. They
Mhm.
now both live. Delia lives in Jacksonville. Frank lives in Ecuador. Um, and they're some of the best artists.
Mhm.
You know, like I'd put them against artists against at bigger companies and feel really comfortable
Yeah.
with the output of work. I work with an editor here in Atlanta, um, Akira, and she's really dope at what she does. Um, but issue one was made by Jordan Gunderson. And he's worked
Mhm.
with bigger companies as well, and he's out, coming out of the Midwest. So I just think it. I don't try to. I don't want to ever limit what the business can do because I feel like I need to. Like I never want to pander.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get to that point. But I'm a black American man who's lived in the South 3/4 of my life. Some of that's got to be reflected in my book, and I don't know
Yeah.
if there are a ton of books that reflect it, or even if that's their purpose to reflect stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm trying to do from a business standpoint.
Yeah, and I appreciate the way you framed it because I think one of the things is that um you talked about excellence, and so excellence lives in all types of motivations and people, right? And so to it's not just about people that look like you, but the stories you tell are very familiar to a lot of different people in different areas. So when you talk about socioeconomics, boom, like that hits a lot of different areas and diversity and ethnicities and race, and gender, right? And like all these things that we kind of are afraid of to touch. I think what I love about your book is that it's there and people are gravitating towards the personalities because they are different. They feel familiar at the same time. So I appreciate how you put that in the forefront, especially, on your website and your literature. You say this is where front and center, but also look at my
Yeah.
work and it speaks for itself. It's high caliber. And you also talked about the global piece just now. Like people, you don't understand the folks who are really talented are just as talented as the ones in the. We're not Americans aren't the only ones doing great work, right?
Right. Correct.
So I think that that's the unfortunate piece of, I guess, the business wherein you're leaning into folks and saying, oh, this American exceptionalism almost in a sense. But we have folks in the Philippines, we got folks in South America, we got
Yeah.
folks everywhere, Korea, you got folks in Japan, you got every facet everywhere. I even saw a brother from like India that was killing it, and I was just like,
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you know the I believe the Zong Bros, they've done. They did a variant cover for Badia's Gambit. They did a variant cover from for Volume 1. And man, now it's eluding me what country they come from, but
Yeah.
it's basically an East Asian country. Uh, Philippines. There's some artists that I've worked with on another book that I'm still really developing. It's called man. Now that name's eluding me. Got too much stuff to remember.
That's what
Phantom
happens.
Rights. Yeah, Phantom Rights. And so I have a
Family.
book
Okay.
that we've been working on and been in pre-production for about almost a year now. That
Wow.
will really start to hopefully we'll start to get some real production speed in the next 3 to 4 months. Um,
That's
but
cool.
but yeah, working with some artists out in the Philippines. I mean, if you just look at how many artists out of that area now, and
Yeah.
they're getting books on on Marvel, on DC,
Yeah.
and so yeah, no, I think all over the world. I mean, there's a lot of talent coming out of South America,
Yep.
Brazil.
Yep.
When I'm looking around, obviously there's tons of talent in Japan and Korea, um, and there are countries like Italy where the base of I would say maybe the base of the industry is based in, as far as when you look at a lot of the Marvel and DC and bigger image uh, comic artists. They're based. Some of them are based out of Italy. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all over, man. Like it's definitely not one spot where it's like, and we're the artist capital of the world. Like no, it's guys all over and
No.
gals all over. So
It's true, man. I mean, I've the past couple of years, I've seen some really amazing international artists pop off and like really do some amazing work.
some
Even
artists
at
out of
cons.
Nigeria.
Yeah,
I want to make sure. Yeah,
yeah, we
Nigeria.
gotta get
Shout
our
out
brothers
to
and
them.
sisters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So no, it's everywhere, man.
it's everywhere. So again, if you are looking for artists, start off on Instagram, search for some people, put in some, looking at folks who are similar in the way that your style and what you're looking for. I found a few people, and just being able to kind of just think to myself, all right, when I publish my book, this is what I needed to look like. This is the person that I need to tap into. And hopefully you get them at the front end. The other piece that I've been able to see at cons are some of the students that are coming out of college just recently and trying to just get their footing. And
Mm,
so they are just graduating or they're trying to figure out a space and place in this world. And so those are also some really cool people to connect with as well, from
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But props to you. And you, my friend, thank you so much for being a part of this. I know that the Kickstarter is going to be successful. We've got 17 more days, y'all. So I'll put a ticker on this thing and make sure that we have it running. But ultimately, let's make sure that we get across the finish line real sooner than later, and keep providing, supporting. These are the things that I always try to promote indie folks because they are literally the thing that's keeping comic book and comic book collecting alive, especially when it's in a critical point in our industry. So I want to thank you, Jack, for being part of this show, the Gen X
Thanks,
Comic
man.
Show. Any parting words? Anything else that you want to provide folks that we might have missed? What should they be looking out for? Where they can find you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm at Terminus Veil on any social media. I think the only thing I'm not on yet is Blue Sky. I guess I'll have to break down and get on that pretty soon, as it seems. Terminusveil.com is where you can find pretty much everything we have. All of our new stuff is on the Kickstarter, but it'll as we start to get out of the Kickstarter mode and start getting these books finished all the way through, we'll start having them on our website as well. I advise anybody who, if you just want to find out what Terminus Veil is like, just go to terminusveil.com/free and you can get a free digital issue one. Check it out, see if you like it. And if you do, yeah, then come back and shop with us a little bit. That's what I would like to leave it with. Please support the
Okay.
Kickstarter. Thank you, Gen X, for having me again, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man. It's always really good. I appreciate it
Hey,
a
listen,
1000%, man.
I want to tell you, I believed in you from the beginning, and I'm gonna ride with you until you decide that that the project's no longer viable and that you're moving into movies and cart and animation. Just don't forget us little people, okay? When you get to that level, all right?
It's not. There's no little people who are in my circle, man. It's all
Oh,
big people. You're big, so you're big to be in the circle. No, but
I
no,
appreciate
man.
it.
It's all. I appreciate the friendship and everything, man. So it's not a. There's no forgetting that to me, man.
I appreciate it, man. So everybody, make sure you go out, get this Terminus Veil, get the book, get the volume one if you just need to get all of it done. Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much for hanging out with us at the Gen X show. And we are out, y'all. Hey, next time we'll be having a panel discussion to talk about indie work. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, everybody be safe and nerd out responsibly. All right. Peace, y'all.
Later.